my top 200 games of all time. We're at the 140 spot. Let's do this. Number 140 is Fortuna. Fortuna is a fun little game about Rome. There's so many games of Rome in my collection here. But this one, you're taking these 3 cards. You're taking one of the actions, and then you're going to trade that card, or yes, that card with someone else, or trade a card with someone else. It doesn't have to be that exact card, but one of your 3 cards. And they can steal any card that's not flipped over. You can only flip, each player can flip over one card, like reserve one. It doesn't have to be the card you're going to play. You just don't want anyone else to get it. And as you're doing this, you're trying to gather resources to give tribute to the emperor, to move up the path to Rome to win the game. And even if you don't make it to the center of the game, doesn't mean you'll automatically win. As long as you enter Rome, you have a chance to win. There's a lot of extra bonus points at the end you can get. And actually, I've seen people win just by getting into Rome. My nephew knew as long as he could cross the gate, he had the game in the bag, and he did. He crossed the gate in time. A few of us have made it to the middle, but he had done a lot better at the end, and he won. Even though we got a few more victory points than he did. Didn't help us in the long run, which I like. I like that about the game. Another solidly underrated game. I see this all the time for cheap. And I guess people just, feel like, maybe I don't like the Roman theme or it's been overdone. But this game is so unique. The only problem is it is best at 4 players. You have to have a dummy player in a way if you have less than. Like this time, it was the first time we ever played with 3 players. I didn't enjoy it as much. It is a solid, though, 4-player game. Really fun. All right, my number 139 is Thrash and Roll. I've had Thrash and Roll for years in my collection. It keeps slipping. It slipped out of the top 100, kept slipping out because I noticed something a few years back. This dice placement game, which is so much fun, is your heavy metal band trying to improve your equipment and your talent, and then cut a single, which leads to an album, which leads to multiple albums, which leads to touring with Turbo, baby, at the end to get some big victory points. The game is super fun, but the iconography on the board does not match the rules. There was some, I guess, print error on this. And I know this looked, I thought this was getting a reprint, but I guess it didn't. And it really does need a reprint to kind of solidify those rules out because, like I said, the iconography is different than the rule book. And we always have to consult the rule book every time we play the game because there's always mass confusion. And I hate that about the game because it's an excellent game. I know that, I can't remember who it was going to do an expansion, just took everyone's money from the Kickstarter and ran. I'm glad I didn't find out about that because I definitely would have backed it too, because I would have loved to have seen an expansion to this. Or even if it's just an extra player, but I think they're going to do a few other things too. But Thrash and Roll, I don't know how cheap it is or how expensive it is to get, but if you can find a copy, the artwork's really good. It's got that old kind of Metallica-like art, I call it ugly, but it fits the theme of the game. And even the versions I got come with a heavy metal CD album. I love that. We play it once because I like to be thematic, and then after that, no more heavy metal. But it is a lot of fun. Maybe hard rock is what we'll play. But it is a really fun game, great to play. And I mean, maybe there's some kind of marriage you can make. I haven't adapted the iconography on the board. I don't know if that's working, if that would work right. I know the gameplay, the rule book, I go by what the rule book says, but maybe just go by the board says. Maybe, it'll change the game up a little bit, but will there be any deficiencies because of that? I don't know. Either way, though, overall, it's a really solid theme with a solid game with a solid theme, and I enjoy it. All right, number 138 is Automania. Automania, you're building cars for victory points. You're changing up your it's either for the American or European market. European will give you more victory points than cash. American will give you more cash than victory points. You need cash because you're going to be paying to upgrade your conveyor belts all the time. And you're constantly switching out tiles on your conveyor belts to come out with higher cars because the market every round is changing for both the American and European cars. So one moment environmental stuff is hot. The next moment is just speed, baby. Speed and, whatever, bling or whatnot. I really love the back and forth pull of this game. You're trying to anticipate what's going to be on the market. You're trying to adjust your conveyor belts to fit for all people. You're trying to sell, on both markets, not just to get the big victory points, but also make sure you have enough cash to make a big turn the next round. Really awesome game. And I think you can buy a copy used. I don't think it's in print anymore, but it's a beautiful looking game, awesome game about building automobiles. They're like way better than, what's the one that everyone talks about? Kaban. Oh my goodness, that looks like a headache. When I just look at the board, I want to vomit. But Automania is a solid game. Love it. All right, number 137. Oh, hey, dice placement again. It is Vienna. Vienna, you are placing dice in a row. You can't ever go back. Well, you can go back if you pay some money, but usually just playing ahead. The actions get bigger the farther ahead you move, and then you're trying to cash it all in for victory points each round. Very strategic game. The one problem, it's a double-sided board, but the other side is just the whole board at night instead of in the daytime. I guess they couldn't decide which one they liked better, so they just printed both. Man, I really wish they would come out with these tiles that would have shifted the actions a little bit on the track and give you a different order of action to kind of help out some of the replayability of the game. Because I only really play this once a year, and I love it. I love it. I love the game. Whenever it comes out, we have so much fun. But I know if we play it too much, we're going to get in the same path to do the same thing over and over again. Whoever's first is always going to take this and that and this and make sure that they have a solid gameplay. What a terrible time to get hiccups, right? I'm trying not to hiccup too while I do this. But anyway, it is really fun, but I have to only play it like once, maybe twice a year, and that's it. And because of that, it will never be a top 100 game, but it is a game worthy of someone's collection. All right, let's see if I got rid of the hiccups. Number 136 is Restaurant Italia. Fun little restaurant game. You're building a appetizer, a main course, well, a first and second course, and then a dessert. You don't have to build in that order. In fact, it kind of is good to build it out of order because everyone thinks you have to go for appetizer first. Go for something else. And so everyone's creating these dishes. You're trying to get the most points off these dishes. You're trying to buy wines that go well with the dishes. You're trying to buy all these amenities for your restaurant to get extra victory points too. There's an auction too to get the food critics to come get you because everyone listens to money. But the thing is, though, if you do not bid your highest or whatever you bid, if you lose half your money. And I love that in the game. The game has a lot of other strategic things you're doing as you're gathering resources. You can get special abilities. You don't have many actions, but you got to make the most with what you have. And then one thing that everyone forgets is getting a spice cube. That's all you do is get a little spice cube. But that spice cube breaks ties. And there's a lot of ties, especially at the end of the game. And if you have those cubes, if you wasted, because it feels like wasting an action just to get this cube, but if you got one of those spice cubes, it can sometimes be the deciding factor. I did lose just recently with the spice cube, so I can't say it wins every time, but it made it a lot closer than it would have been. But overall, the game is really smart. It's basically like a midweight game and worth checking out, especially if you like the theme of restaurants. I've seen people do a lot. I've played Kitchen Rush. I was not a fan. I wanted to be a fan. I wanted to like that game, but I couldn't get into it. And Restaurant Italia, for me, is the restaurant theme game that will always occupy my collection. All right, number 135 is a crazy nuts game. It is Coconuts. Oh, man, don't forget about the cover if you think it's a kiddie game. It's so much fun. You bring this out game night, you will not stop playing. You'll find rubber coconuts in your house for years afterwards, but it is definitely worth it. Now, last year we played it so much. I decided to put it in my top 100. This year, didn't get played as much as it used to, so it got bucked down a little bit. It is still a fantastic game as you're making trick shots and trying to get, I think it's 6 cups in your area, but you can steal cups from other players too. It's so much fun, and I'm almost thinking about buying just a couple more of the monkeys, because I want to play like 6 players now. I think 4 players is just a blast. Any player count is really fun, but the more people you have playing this game, the better. Coconuts, no brainer. You should get you a copy. All right, number 134. I love my worker placement, but an Assara has always been there. It's been last year, barely missed out my top 100. Solid worker placement game because you're playing these cards, and the color of the card matters because the first card played there decides what card is going to be the card to activate that section. And what you're doing is you're just buying different sections of the tower and other things too, like decor for the tower. But then you're trying to build it up and complete them to get victory points. Now, honestly, it's really a lot of point salad at the end because there's so many ways to score victory points in the end. Who has the most towers? Who has the highest tower? Who has the biggest green, red, blue, black, white, whatever? And you keep going through all this list of things that you can score bonus points, and a lot of your points are scored at the end. You're still like going, oh man, do I have enough to win? You never know. You count up your symbols for extra points too. It's such a fun game, very cheap, very easy to get. I remember looking at Board Game Geek, and a lot of my games I look at, you may also like. And Assara was on every single game I was looking up for a while. I was like, you know what? I need to check this game out. And I did a couple of years back, and I don't regret it. Unfortunately, just new games keep coming into the collection. And because of that, Assara just is on the outside looking in when it comes to my top 100. All right, you know what? It is time to talk about Queen games again. It is Liguria. Liguria is kind of the prequel to another great game, Fresco, which you will see in my top 100. But Liguria, you're gathering paint cubes for the bishop to paint a cathedral. And as you're doing this, it's a bidding war that gets you tiles that can upgrade your player board, that give you more powerful actions because you're trying to go around these islands. You're trying to conquer some of these islands too because they're worth victory points at the end of the game. But you're trying to deliver the paint cubes back to your dock to fulfill contracts, which are also worth big victory points. A lot of people make a mistake and just pass over the contracts and don't pick them up when they're selecting tokens to put, because really a lot of the tokens you want are the ones that can help you on your player board to increase your action or help you take control of one of the islands. But if you're not getting the contracts, you're leaving tons of points there, and you're just gonna have, because paint cubes by themselves aren't worth that much. But if you have them tied to a contract, then you can start making some big points. But what a lot of people do is they forget to get contracts, and their gameplay whimpers out at the end. They have to depend on conquering every island to even have a chance. But you don't have to conquer a single island. Just have a bunch of paint cubes and complete them with the contracts. Super cheap game to get to. Definitely worth your time. If you're a fan of Fresco, what are you doing? Go ahead, get the official prequel to Fresco. I think I heard this. The official prequel to Fresco. So check it out. All right. Number 132. It's all about dice today, folks. Yasahan. Yasahan, dice drafting game where you're drafting die to get you in different areas of these neighborhoods to get area control, to get victory points. Lot of strategy going on here. Very simple game. There's ways you can improve your player board to have more powerful actions. And like Machikoro, there's a small one, and you can just build up to the bigger one, or save up. It's a dumb thing to do, but save up all your camels and try to get big one first. Though I just kind of do it, in ascending order. That way, I get more and more powerful as the game goes on. Really awesome, great game. Great wooden die. Nothing wrong with this game. I have the Souks expansion. It's just a pack of cards, and the only thing that bothers me about it is they're not the same size as the regular cards in the base game. How did they screw that up? Unless there's another copy of Yasahan that I don't know about. But again, another cheap game. The cover doesn't look like much, but the gameplay, I assure you, is there. And then finally, at number 131. What is 131? From Eagle Griffin Games, Pergamon. Pergamon is new to my collection here. I got it. It just got a reprint. And I paid a little bit more for it because I didn't know about the reprint coming out. So now it's easily available. And it's such a fun game as you are, you're kind of risking putting your Explorer out there, asking for funds. 2 cards are revealed. And the person first in line is getting the least amount of money, but they're almost guaranteed their funds. As it goes along, you're getting more and more money, but you're not guaranteed those funds. If funds run out, you don't get them. What happens if there's additional funds? Well, then you'll get those too if you're the furthest player out. But what happens if they run out of funds before they get to you? Then you got nothing, and you need money in this game. So as you're getting funding, then you can go out digging at the dig sites. And that's another fun thing, because as you're digging, you're getting these tiles that you're going to push together to make a presentation, an exhibit at the museum. And the thing is, the game behooves you to get as many exhibits out as fast as you can to score those points. Because every round, they're losing their luster. And every couple of rounds, they're losing like a lot. They may even fall out. If anyone brings in an exhibit, this is very thematic. If they bring an exhibit to the museum that's better than yours will automatically go down the moment they enter it. And that sucks too. So your exhibits are losing patrons. They're not selling tickets, which is points for you. And you're getting less and less tickets every round. So it's constantly forcing you to put more collections up there. But of course, you want the nice collections, right? To give you the bigger points too. Really awesome game. Great pieces. A lot of fun. I played this even after I did the review. I played it. And I'm ranking it a little bit conservatively. It's staying outside my top 100, but it does have potential. Of course, everything this close has potential to be a top 100 game at any time, right? Anyone can come in and win it all. Anyway, folks, that is it for now. Come back next time. I have so much fun doing this, and we'll do the top 130. I will see you.